Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Throne. Grab you a glass of wine because it's about to get real sexy.
Driving up midnight, driving in nowhere, bumping a slow song, can get my head clear.
Hey, look,
Pivot your ass.
Red said something, and it kind of sparked something in my head right here. When you when you're over and over reaching a point where this shit ain't working out, man. Man, what? Learn how to take suggestions, man, because you know what I'm saying? Your way is not always the best way to do it. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
it is.
So you have to take suggestions. You have to pay attention to what's going on because some information, good information, can come to you. And you have to be at a point to where you can decipher that shit. You know what I'm saying? Test it
Discernment.
out because test it out because you know what I'm saying, it might not be for you. But you know, if I'm doing something and I've done it 3 times and it's not working the way I do it, and I say, okay, well, this is how I do it, you know, I might need to take some suggestions on or talk to somebody that actually done what I'm trying to do and superseded it. So therefore, I need to talk to somebody and get some suggestions. You know, it's not, oh man, that's the way I'm cut. Oh man, that's the fabric I'm
That's
cut.
an
Oh,
excuse
man, that's
of
what-
someone
that
who
is
doesn't want to
excuse.
put in the work to change.
That's what I was just about to say. That's
Especially
an
if it's the better.
excuse
It's for the
not to
better.
do the damn work. We're going to slide right in here, you know what I'm saying? And I want to know, which strategies have you found effective for addressing and resolving conflict in your relationships? You know what I'm saying? What are the tools that you reach in your toolbox for when those times come when everything is not agreed upon? Let's just take it like that, take a soft approach to it. When everything is not agreed upon, what tools do you pull out of, you know what I'm saying, your tool bag to address that?
I'll go first. I know I would say communication, right? Even though sometimes when you do have communication, that still doesn't work with the right person. So in saying that, there's times that I won't say anything. And then I just know within myself that person is not the person for me, right? Because I feel like if I can't even address issues with you or we can't communicate and it's just going AWOL and it's just everywhere, then maybe I need to sit back and look at this is not the person for me, right? And then too, I found that when you find out that person isn't for you and you guys are still cool, sometimes it's good to come back and talk about it because now there's no feelings there and I can communicate with you and you can come communicate with me. There's no lies, there's no distrust.
Don't keep it
And-
swept under the rug.
Yeah, you know what
Bring
I'm
it back
saying?
up.
And I found that has worked too.
Yeah.
When we don't have any type of love connection and we're just cool with each other. And then we look back at our relationship that we did have and we communicate about it. It's worked like that too. So I just feel like it's communication, whether it's now or later. I feel like it needs to be done. And if that person can't handle it or if that person is getting defensive or I don't want to talk about it, or then they're not the person for you. And sometimes there's no way to correct that person but to leave that person alone.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And find that person that you can communicate with, that you can be open with, that won't get defensive with you, and they're open and they're listening to you. And sometimes I feel too, when people just listen to respond, I feel like when you have that person that really listens to you and lets you finish whatever you're saying, that's the person for you and wants to find a solution to that problem. I feel like that's the type of communication that everyone should, have in their relationship.
That's
That's the
good.
best
And
way.
that is good, you know, because if we all, the 3 of us right here on the throne right now, if we would all just take the tools out of our tool bag for this particular question that we got on the panel today, I think we'll all pull out the communication tool. You know what I'm saying? It literally is and encompass everything because communication has so many layers to it, you know, and that would be my answer to this is that not only just communication, but you know the layers of communication, your body language, the words you use, your voice affliction, you know what I'm saying? All that energy, the place and the space that you have this conversation, because it's a conflict. And we already identified it as a conflict. And you know, sometimes, you know what I'm saying, silence is a form of communication, but you have to be careful with silence, you know what I'm saying? Because silence can be used as a manipulative tool too. So therefore, you have to find that gray area where, you know what I'm saying, you could just be silent for a minute just to calm the situation down, but get back in there.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
it's
saying,
gonna
and
come up
try. And
later
another
on
form of
sometimes.
communication is addressing things promptly. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, you know what I'm saying, that we choose to, just like you said, and it is healthy sometimes to sweep it under the rug and come back and approach it. But you a gray area too. You have to find out. Sometimes when you sweep it under the rug, the whole dynamic of that conflict changes.
But silence and sweeping it
Yeah.
under the rug are not the same.
Not the same.
It's
not.
no, it's not the same. I
No.
was clarifying.
Good point.
Those are
Yeah,
two
good
different things.
clarification right there. Two different things. You know what I'm saying? When you sleep it on, when you table it, you know what I'm saying? We call it sweeping under the rug, but when you table a conflict, that conflict, be careful how long you table it for, because it can manifest into something else. So, you know, my answer to that will be communication, but exercise the layers in your communication and check yourself, you know what I'm saying? Because once you identify it as a conflict, if you care about this person, then therefore you need to go through your Rolodex of the layers of conflict and make sure that you're showing
That's
up
good,
correctly.
King. That's good. That's good. I would say read that question again for me because I want to answer it fully.
What strategies have you found effective for addressing and resolving conflicts in your relationships?
So I have learned very blatantly that there is one necessary strategy and there is one necessary tool. The necessary strategy, and the only one that you really need, because if you get too strategic within your relationships, they become less authentic and more self-serving and manipulative. Now you're trying to control what happens within the relationship by manipulating, how you show up. So the one strategy that I would say is to understand that we are all different. Our brains are all wired differently and we all process information differently. And with that being said, you have to let people be who they are, do what they want to do, so you could see what they prefer, who they truly are. You have to take a step back and allow people to be who they are without your persuasion, your suggestions, or any of that. Sometimes you just need to let people be. And that lends to the one and only tool that you ultimately need, and that tool is silence. Not as a form of manipulation, but as a form of furthering allowing someone to be who they are. Because your silence allows space for the truth to emerge. Silence allows space for truth to emerge. If you just be quiet and let things be, that doesn't mean necessarily play the quiet game, zip up your lips and throw away the key. That means stop bitching, stop nagging, stop complaining. Let's leave the conversation where it is. Let's go be and do what we want to be. Go who we want to be, all that. And then if the relationship is worth it, if we then truly care about the connection, it will come together on its own. There will be an overwhelming desire for one or both parties to make things right, to confront the elephant in the room. Because the longer that the silence persists, the more obvious the issues become. If you mess with me, you're going to come back to me and we're going to have a conversation that's going to be honest. When we're having an honest conversation, there's no need for argument. There's no need for defensiveness. If that occurs within the dynamic of that conversation, nothing else needs to be said.
Because the truth is out.
Because the truth is plain and simple. Now, if you continue on that dynamic of trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, then you are expending your life force and your energy on trying to manipulate the situation now,
And it's gonna
because the
exhaust
truth
the
is clear
relationship.
already.
And it's gonna exhaust.
It's just going to make it worse.
Yeah.
And now we're going to hate each other. Now there's going to be no reason for us to come back together because we've stayed in this space of untruth.
How have we Tia, how have you found yourself since we're on this communication, looking at how you're communicating with people that you love, care about, friends or whatever, in society, whatever the case may be? Where can you work on your communication skills at?
Well, I know I can work on my tone of voice, my sarcasm, and how loud I am. Because I think I'm so funny, but I am funny. So it's like sometimes I'll include that in the argument.
Yeah.
And like people get butthurt. You know what I'm saying? They were like,
Butthurt.
oh, she thinks she's so funny and you think you're so funny. I'll be like, I am. But I'm yelling now too because now I'm mad.
So
or
now I'm clowning.
it's
is
either
what it
I'm
is.
mad or, I'm very emotional. Like I can go from 1 to 1,000 real quick. So it's like, and my mom is loud. So I can get loud. And then sometimes that doesn't, to the other person, they're like, okay, now she want to get loud. Now I'm not going to hear you because people don't hear you when you're loud, right? So I know I can work on that a lot because I know I see it, but I don't give a fuck sometimes. 'Cause I'm mad now, or you don't know what you're talking about, so now I'm going to overtalk you. Like I get defensive too sometimes. Like what? And, I'll just go off and I don't want to hear them anymore. And that's very selfish. So I know I can work on, not only getting loud,
Good.
I can work on being selfless and listening more and not always trying to just go off and just talk all the time and just run my mouth like, shut the fuck up. You feel me? Sometimes I can hear myself saying it, but I don't care now because I'm past it. I want to tell you how I feel. I feel like I know what the fuck I'm talking about. This is my truth and you're going to hear it. And sometimes, no, Tia, just be quiet.